Beyond Stillness, Stories After Stroke is made possible by our guests and tax-deductible donations from friends and listeners like you. Join us in empowering stroke survivors with stories of wisdom, purpose, connection, and hope at www.beyondstillness.org.
This week on Beyond Stillness, Stories After Stroke, we spend our second week with Sue Phipps. Last week, she shared a writing from 10 years after her stroke, and this week, she shares a recent piece entitled Positive Resilience. Sue Phipps is innately joyful. She lives in Kirkland, Washington, with her loving husband, Neal. She has developed a deep sense of trust through small coincidental moments and those of struggle, like her time with breast cancer, mitral valve prolapse, and our focus of this story, her major stroke. She credits her friends, family, and God for helping her approach recovery with positive resilience. Thank you for joining us for part 2. Sue Phipps' interview of positive resilience. Hello and welcome to Beyond Stillness. Stroke offers a powerful, life-changing shift in perspective. Each colorful memory creates a parable for life's greater teachings, a compass for journeys ahead, and inspired wisdom for unique growth. This radio show, Beyond Stillness, offers an hour of pause for storytelling and reflection. Ultimately, Beyond Stillness is a welcoming environment that reveres the moment beyond stroke's paralysis. Still moments unite humanity and divinity. I'm your host, Molly Bucola. When you were in your coma, your dad turned to your husband, Neal, and said, "Wait, Neal, you don't know what you're going to be left with." And Neal responded, "It doesn't matter what happens. I need to take care of Sue." So please share about what Neal meant by "I need to take care of Sue" and why this was such a clear decision for him.
I think it's interesting because I think Neal truly believed that I would get through this. He never questioned. He never thought, oh no, what if Sue is this kind of a person? Or what if he doesn't come out of the coma? I think Neal always believed that I would be okay. And so his positiveness also came to me. It was like a dual positive resilience that we kept going.
I love it. It added to each other.
But it's interesting. Neal does not really have a faith in God, but he does have that positive attitude. Yeah. And that's without a doubt. He never treated me like I had a disability. Ever once. He always treated me like I was this girl that he had met 2 years earlier.
Wow. 2 years. Yeah. And he said, "Doesn't matter. I'm all in. I'm ready to take care of her in whatever form."
Isn't that crazy? He never got frustrated and never got angry. Never through all of it. So he was really right there for me and still is.
Yeah. Yes. I love that he read Todd's poem for you today.
Yeah, me too.
And you've said a few times that Neal and your dad and family and friends pretended like everything was fine. And for you, that strategy worked. Why was that helpful for you?
I never thought I had aphasia because I don't know how they did it, but although my words didn't make any sense and they weren't the correct words, people would nod or would laugh. And when I would laugh, and so they treated me as though I was just quote unquote normal when I definitely was not. And the more they treated me that way, I was that way myself. So even though I couldn't follow or track conversations, as I mentioned earlier, I would laugh when they would laugh, even though I had no idea what they were laughing about.
Uh-huh.
Or if someone would start to tear up, of course, I would say, "Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry," not knowing what they were crying about.
Huh.
So I think that over the first couple of years, I started to improve because I was sort of expected to be that way. As bizarre as that sounds.
Yeah. Huh. So your sense of empathy matched that of other people in the room, and they mirrored yours as well. And what you're saying is the hope or the way that they treated you was then the way that you would act. Is that what you're saying?
Yes, and that's a great way to look at that. You know, where people, you match wherever someone is, even though people are saying, even though we're told in classes in business how you want to match wherever your business partners are, the exact same way it went in my recovery is matching each other. You just described that perfectly, Molly, because you're right.
That's
For me,
amazing.
it kind of is.
Oh, that's beautiful.
It pre-recovery was matching back then.
Yeah. You came up with it. Well, it
Or
wasn't
God
all,
did.
yes, there we go. And it wasn't all sunshine and rainbows as you mentioned.
No.
You said that there was a lot of frustration and sadness. And at one point you vented to your dad saying, "This is so overwhelming." And he said
Yeah.
to you, "Time is the great equalizer." What
Yes.
went through your mind when you heard that in that moment of frustration and sadness?
My first reaction was a little bit of frustration and anger, almost as though I'm the only one I know who's my age who has had a stroke. And it's not fair for me going through that victim feeling. And so for dad to say that initially didn't make me feel any better. I'm still the youngest one here who's going through this. But being 70, now I see that he was exactly right. We don't know when things are going to hit us. And so dad said, "You know what? Don't feel poor me where you are now, because we will all be at a tough time in our life. Right now, you're going through it, but there will be others that go through disabilities and strokes and cancer and on and on and on. So don't say poor me, because you'll all be on the same page."
Hmm. It's a wise father and some tough love there.
Very much. Yeah, very much. I think it really was wonderful because of being a neurologist. And again, as I mentioned, he had patients and what they had been through, and saying, I'm sure in the back of his mind, he also felt, "Sue, you don't know how very fortunate you are." He didn't say that, but I wouldn't be surprised if he felt that way.
Your stroke was 34 years ago. Is that right?
Oh gosh, yes.
What are your residual effects?
Um, there are a couple of things like, of course, still my aphasia. It's difficult when I'm tired at night. Or if I'm talking too much, I know my words are not as clear as normal. Sometimes the words don't even come up at all. I can hear it. I might have mentioned this earlier, but I can hear the word go from my ear to my mouth. It's correct. From my mouth out, I go, whoops, that was not right. Let's try this again. um, I also have side effects of neuropathy, which was a side effect where I have numbness in my feet. My eyesight can be very difficult. I really can't read very well. It takes me reading one word by word by word, so it's difficult. I listen to Audible, which is great. And the other thing is walking. I know my equilibrium can be a problem. I can walk into people, or I can walk into little children that are my little bit. So I really try and watch it when I'm walking.
Literally bumping into a friend.
Exactly. I will. Another thing that I do as a hobby is we do walk, but when I'm walking, I will always be walking into them because of my lack of equilibrium.
Mm. And
He's used to it now.
do any of those side effects, do they give you moments of frustration and sadness now like they used to?
Hmm. Um, no, I don't get frustrated very much anymore. I think getting older makes things a little bit calmer. And because I've been working with it all for so long, that it's almost as though I shrug it off.
Huh.
I think when I was younger, it was really frustrating. But since I haven't had a stroke for such a long time, um, I do feel very, very grateful.
Hmm.
Yeah, that's a benefit I might not have expected is getting older, but saying, okay, now you've dealt with it for a long time. Be accepting of it and grateful.
Wow, Sue. Yeah,
Mm.
one of the reasons that I was so excited to interview you is you have this great distance of time between your stroke and now, and that perspective from afar while still living in it is very valuable. Thank you.
I was thinking about it the other day, and now, especially now, in as we get older, um, you do have this acceptance and sense of peace. And I think when you're younger, there's more of being at this time in your life where you're 40 thinking, I should be. And at 70, it's no, there's no should be anymore. It's whatever you want to make it. It really is. There's so much out there. For me, I say a prayer and say, okay, God, I know I'm going to go through other things. So I turn to him and say, help me with your grace to get through whatever it is.
Hmm.
And he's always been there for me.
Hmm. It's a bit of serenity and trust.
Yes. Yeah.
Wouldn't it be amazing for everyone to just be born with that sense of presence
Oh, can you imagine to
without
not go through?
feeling the should?
Yes, there's no should about, and think about it. If you are someone who has a stroke, yes, you're in now this new group of people, those of us who have had a stroke. So rather than try and be the person you used to be, start looking at what God may guide you to do. Maybe you were meant to go into something brand new where you're helping other people, where you're learning something brand new, that if you had stayed on the same path, you could have continued to go that way. That would have been great. But being a stroke opens up other possibilities.
Mm.
At least I feel that way in my life.
It's a beautiful way to look at it.
Mm.
I feel that way too, Sue. Thank you for sharing.
We're
Your
very
friend,
fortunate.
absolutely. Your friend Todd Gardner wrote a beautiful poem. Thank you for sharing, and thank you to Neal for reading it. You said you didn't realize that your stroke made him feel so deeply, nor did you know that he wrote poetry. And I'm wondering, in what ways did you help other people process your stroke and your recovery?
I'll tell you the truth. Initially, anyone who had a stroke or any sort of a disability, I really related to that. So I would gravitate towards that person. There was a woman who was a patient of my dad's who became a friend of mine. She had multiple sclerosis and she became a very dear friend. When someone would have a disability, we would be able to relate to what we were both going through. So I would love the conversations with those people like us who've been through something versus people who don't know that. So that has helped, especially in the beginning where I tried to be with around people, and anyone would say, "Oh, my friend just had a stroke. Could she get together with you?" And I would say, "Oh, by all means." It was always my favorite thing to do.
What about it was your favorite thing?
I think, prior to the stroke, it was, like your life, it was full of love and parties and talking on the same level and, blah, 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 all that sort of stuff. When you're talking with people about how to improve your life because you've had a disability, I love those deeper conversations. I love those. So it means sharing and saying, "Tell me how you're feeling." "Well, let me tell you how this worked for me or how this didn't." But just to listen, to see if I can help or where others still help when I go through things. Friendships, those are the best conversations, without a doubt.
Absolutely. I
Yeah.
was listening to a caregiver talk about her experience with her husband who had the stroke. And she was talking about her relationship with him and the depth that emerged after the stroke because they were talking about these really important parts of life, and navigating life with a disability is different, where we have to face those aspects of life, and those are different than the to-do list that everyone has.
Isn't that the truth?
Mm.
That's right. And you don't know it until you go through something.
Yeah.
And maybe this is going to sound a little bit strange, but is it a gift that we are given that takes us on a path that we wouldn't have been on? Does it mean that our life is a little bit deeper than it may have been previously? I think it has for me. I think it has for you.
Yeah. Yeah. It forced us to stop, and it forced us to look at life a little differently.
That's
And
right.
and it's opened doors in directions that I never could have imagined. I'm speaking from my experience. And part of that might be just letting go, and releasing and looking for God's fingerprints. What doors open for us after the stroke?
Yes.
Mm.
I wish I had known back then. I wish I had met you way back then, so you could have helped guide me to a less frustrating way of going through life. But I had to go through that with prayer to go through some of the negative, depressing times. But once I got through that, it was a number of years of never having happened.
Huh.
Yeah, that was a gift.
Yeah. And maybe that's it. Maybe the depth of the sadness and frustration and anger. And you were talking before about being able to connect with other people who had suffered strokes, because the path is hard. But
It's
then,
very hard.
but then the doors that open on the other side are really bright.
Well, and I being with you and having these conversations over the weeks, um, the last probably 15 years have been pretty normal. Um, Although I have had breast cancer, but it's been everything's kind of gone back a little normal. Meeting you and having these conversations takes me back to this, takes me back to a lot of the writings, a lot of the essays that I wrote, that I want to go back and reread them so that I can go back to that. Where can I help? Because I started to go back into a normalcy, but I do miss that helping. Thank you for that.
Thank you. Thank you for saying that, Sue. And I really have loved our time together. You're definitely an inspiration to me. And I know that you help other people in other ways in your life right now. You're very involved with your community and with your friends. So thank you. Speaking of community, I have this image of you sitting in your writing class, Sue. I'm impressed that you signed up for your writing class, even though you struggled with aphasia. Sue, it's truly a sign of positive resilience. Were you a writer before your stroke?
No, no. When I was in business, I used to write business letters. Way back then, we had secretaries or assistant. Oh, that makes me sound really old. But anyway, we would have people that would take our letters that we would write, and then they would type it all up. Thank goodness. But no, I thought I was a terrible writer for my business letters. So no, I never thought I could do this writing, but I just knew because I kept a journal all the time. I really felt that there was a lot to pass on to other people. And then, as I mentioned, we were able to read Jill Bolton Taylor, who wrote the book, My Stroke of Insight. And for all of us who read that book, it was a wow, that's what we all want to know. The last 2 pages in that book are all, hold it, let me look it up. It says, 40 things I need the most. And those 2 pages are the most valuable of the whole book because it says, for instance, I'm not stupid. I am wounded. Please respect me. So there are 40 of those inspirational things that we need to tell our friends and family. Hey, this is what we have inside that's going on. Let me tell you how to make sure you read this because it will tell you more about this person inside this stroke.
Yes. So important. It's so important to be able to voice that. And sometimes we just don't know how. And sometimes we don't think it's our role because we're the ones going through it. But a lot of times people around us just do not know how to respond.
Right. That's right. Yeah.
Going back to your writing, Sue, what was it like facing the obstacle of writing surrounded by a group of people who didn't suffer from aphasia?
I think I probably have taken 5 or 6 classes, and I had some wonderful people in that class. So they were very kind, very accepting. They knew writing about my stroke was one of my first stories that I wrote, that I spoke about the last time you and I were together. So they knew. And because of it, they took it with that lens of someone who didn't have a stroke. And they knew I couldn't speak very well or that the words weren't right. But yet they saw that it fit in the story. So that helped. And again, as I mentioned, God was my writing partner. Seriously. That's just, I mean, if it didn't happen to me, I don't know if I would have even believed it. But it happened all the time to have these words that come. Even when I said positive resilience, I didn't even know what resilience meant. I had to look it up after I said that word. I mean, seriously.
I just love that. I love when we're able to just hand it over. You're so frustrated. I can't do this, but maybe I can. Please help me.
Yes. And put your hands out and saying, I'm just sitting here. I will wait.
Yes.
I will wait.
Well, and that's it. Having the patience and the presence to wait and the creativity. It might not show up exactly how you think it will. Being open to that. Do you still practice writing?
I don't. I don't even keep a journal. But after being with you, I want to go back and I want to do this. I want to reread through all of my stories that I wrote. And I think I want to start writing again. I think as I get older, I think it may be a little more difficult. I think your brain is a little bit younger, so you can, I don't know. We'll see if the words come. I mean, that was all in God's hands. So we'll see if he brings them back.
Yeah. Do you still ask for God's help in advance?
I do. Not always. I had a knee replacement last week, so I did not go to my Bible study for about 4 months. So the more I'm not there or I don't go to church, it brings me a little bit further out. And then I think, oh, you better get back there because it's easy to kind of walk away from God.
Yeah.
It's important for me to always be there.
Can you tell me a little bit about your celebration, your 10-year celebration after your stroke?
Oh, yes. So, of course, I was not going to make dinner for everybody. we had about maybe 35 people that we invited to our home, and we said, everybody bring heavy hors d'oeuvres, which everyone did. And we invited everyone who were, of course, our family, our dear friends, those people who donated to the Sue Fund. And it was so great to see all of these people who I hadn't seen, some of them for 10 years. So that was great. And a lot of the friends also knew each other. So that was great for them all to see each other. But something that really got to me was I have that poem that Todd wrote. I have it on our table in our living room. So we had it where we lived before. And I didn't plan on this, but when everyone was together and we were all seated, Dad talked about being a doctor and how bad I had been, and the miracle of it all. And then I said, Todd, would you do me a favor? Will you read your poem? So here, the person that actually wrote it read that poem to everyone who were the closest people in our lives.
Wow.
Yeah.
Not a dry eye in the house is my guess.
That was very, very special. I was going to say, and it's crazy because I know Todd is a busy, busy, busy attorney. He's got children. I know he's going 100 miles an hour. I don't know where he had any time to write a poem for me. So I will always be indebted.
Well, it's amazing because as stroke survivors, our strokes are ours. They happen to our body. But it's not just our experience because it affects our family who then become caregivers, right? It affects our friendships, as we've talked about. And it affects those around us deeply, whether it be that they're changing their schedule or they're looking at life differently.
That's right. Isn't it? And maybe think about this. What if we didn't go through anything? For us, it would be very normal and, very light, very free, very easy. But in having gone through this, as we talked about it, it gives us a different depth of what we have been through. And I think that is it is something that I appreciate. I really do. That I know that's odd to have experienced it, but I do appreciate knowing that, and being a part of that stroke community.
Sue, thank you so much for sharing today. Thank you for sharing your story. Thank you for sharing your perspective and your wisdom now, looking back. It's very valuable to hear 34 years out what life might look like, how it might look a little different. So thank you for sharing your heart and your wisdom with us.
Thank you, Molly. This has been such a blessing to be with you. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. And now we'll take a moment of pause to call to mind ways that we have been guided throughout our life, to think of the doors that have opened for us, the people that we've met or experiences that we've been through that have led us to who we are today, so that we may develop insight, perspective, and grace in the way that we move through the world and interact with others. Help us to release the shoulds in order to be our beautiful selves, to shine our light for those around us, and to listen with the ear of our hearts to the way that the Spirit may move. Help us to allow others to shine in their uniqueness, to be and become their inspired selves. Sue, thank you.
Thank you, Molly.
Thank you for devoting time and space to listen to Part 2, Sue Phipps' interview of positive resilience. For the full story, please listen to Part 1, Sue Phipps' story of positive resilience. Each colorful memory creates a parable for life's greater teachings, a compass for journeys ahead, and inspired wisdom for unique growth. In this episode of Beyond Stillness, guest Sue Phipps offered her story entitled Positive Resilience. She shared about how her friends and family reminded her of who she innately is and kept motivating her through recovery. She also notes that many coincidences, miracles, and God continue to guide her life. If you enjoyed this moment of pause for storytelling and reflection, please like, share, or subscribe to the Beyond Stillness Stories After Stroke podcast. Again, thanks for listening, and remember, as part of the stroke community, you are more than supportive, you are inspirational.
If you are part of the stroke community and have a story you'd like to share on the show, please contact us. Email molly@beyondstillness.org.
Beyond Stillness, Stories After Stroke is made possible by our guests and tax-deductible donations from friends and listeners like you. Join us in empowering stroke survivors with stories of wisdom, purpose, connection, and hope at www.beyondstillness.org. Another way to support is to like, share, or subscribe to our weekly show. Again, thank you for devoting time and space for this week's episode of Beyond Stillness, Stories After Stroke.